I'm out back here where we store most of the haying equipment. I brought the old loader out back here because I had bought something and it should be getting delivered here anytime soon. I told them to come on around back, and I bought it for parts, but I think it has some potential, so I'm not sure I'm going to use it for parts. I may just put a little bit of time and effort into it and see if we can get it to run and drive, and then we'll decide from there. But it should be here any moment and we'll go from there. Well, here it comes through the trees there. Got a friend of mine to pick it up for me because my big float's not safetied yet this year, so can't take it out. There it is. It's another old crawler loader. I bought it for the price of scrap. Oh, he's struggling in that slime a little bit. He might not be getting all the way back here, but no matter. I'll pull it off. I can shove it around with the loader later, but we'll figure out what we're going to do first. So here I'm asking Victor to unhook the chain so I can change angles here, because I'd like to drag it up off the trail. right, I sort of drove off screen here, but I got it over here, out of the way. So let's have a look at it. All right, so me and Victor are just taking the initial sort of look around at this thing. We were told it was missing a hydraulic line under the seat, and it is. You can sort of see the fitting. Well, anyways, we have to figure out what line that is so we can go and get another one. It's missing the cap for the breather, the air intake cover, so probably just make one of those. There's the filter there, but it's seen better days. It is also missing the coolant cap. So we got a few little bits and bobs. We'll gather up some cheaper things here and see if we can actually get this machine to run. We'll see if it starts. We'll get that hydraulic cylinder line on there and get some fluid in it, and we'll see if it operates. Hopefully we don't blow anything else up in the process. And then once we have our proof of concept that it will work, we'll put some more time and energy into it. And just like that, we are back from Napa with all sorts of goodies to hopefully get this thing running. So let's get some things thrown on there, see if we can get it to start. Okay, new rad cap. See if it fits. Oh. Aha, installed. I mean, we still have to put fluid in it, but at least the cap fits. That's a start. And where we thought we were going to need a new hydraulic line, turns out it just goes to the accumulator, so we're not too worried about that. We're just going to go ahead and cap that off for now. So Victor's just putting some pipe dope on the cap. Throw that on there. Okay, it's on there nice and tight. There will be some hydraulic hoses in the future of this machine, but one thing at a time. Make sure it actually runs and shows potential for operating. We'll go from there. Victor's just tightening up some other loose fittings he has found. Well, we dumped a bit of coolant in, but it's leaking right from the bottom rad hose. So we didn't waste too much, but I guess we'd better replace that before we fill it up with coolant again. You can see it leaking right there. That's fantastic. So anyways, we can still start it and see if it runs. We just won't be able to run it for too long. But still, this is just meant to be proof of concept right now. So we just tried to start it. We have the booster cables hooked onto it over there. We're pressing the button and nothing. And we're just going to try jumping the starter very carefully. Maybe. So Victor, for the past, to save us trying to jump these starters, he has made sort of a jumper button because it's a little bit safer. So he's going to install that onto there. Then we'll use this button to see if it rolls it over. Well, at least it rolls. So we're just not getting enough juice off the battery now, but it is rolling. I may have to go and see if I have another battery sitting around for it. I should have one somewhere. Might just have to let it sit for a minute. Okay, so we figured out why the starter button wasn't working. We are not used to actual working safeties on this older machine. So this here is the safety. You can see how that works. It literally just pulls up a piece of metal to stop you from putting it into gear. But it also disengages the battery to the button. Now, when we have the safety off, or I'm sorry, the safety on, it should start by pushing the button. Now we still don't have the battery power, but at least that's one problem we don't have to look into. So Victor opted, even though we don't have the cap, to put the actual air air filter into it.
That is from June of 76.
Yep, from June of 76. So it's just all of the goodness left in that, we're sure. But it's probably still better than nothing, assuming it lets some air through. Now, I don't know where we would find a cap for that. Victor's probably just going to end up making one, just a piece of flat plate that goes over that. But that seems like a problem for later, after our proof of concept is proved in our favor. Okay, so instead of sitting there waiting for it to charge and clicking the whole time, we just went down, and I did have a battery sitting down there, so we're going to throw that into it, and hopefully we'll see if this thing starts. All right, threw it in there. Victor just throwing the connections on it, and we'll see if the old girl wants to come to life. All right. Hold on, do you have any Carnation Instant?
Yes, we do.
Where?
We also have a line with a seeping.
Seeping?
Yep.
Already?
Yep, another one that they loosened off for no fucking reason.
So even after just rolling it over for a second there, Victor has seen that there is just a bunch more lines loose, so he's just going to assume that they're all loose in here and just go ahead and torque them all back on. All right, we're going to give it a little sniff of ether here and see if it pops off this time. Well, it runs. The hydraulics work. You can see already this cylinder is going to need a rebuild. Not a huge deal. All right, we have our proof of concept. It is alive, so we will be putting some more time and effort into this and see if we can make it useful. Well, it runs nice. We're going to dump some Standardine in it there before we forget, just help lube up some things in the engine that's been sitting there for a long time. All right, so it's actually probably a week later now. It's not the nicest afternoon. They're calling for a bit of rain, but we thought we'd come over here and play with this crawler a bit. So the last time we didn't try to move it because we'd pulled the plug on the transmission and there was nothing in the transmission. The transmission's been drained for some reason. So we have the proper fluid for it. We're going to dump some in. Then we'll see if we can see a leak anywhere. We're hoping that they just had to take the lines off it because they were trying to get to a line behind some of the transmission lines. We're hoping they just drained it to take all the lines off it. So I guess we'll find out here soon. So we're going to see if it'll fire up again and then see if it moves. Victor here is helping again. He's going to dump the fluid in because it's hard to dump and film at the same time. Wow, he even hit the funnel. First try. A little bit of drippage, but can't hold that against him.
What do you think is wet?
Well, I wouldn't dump it all in to make sure we're not leaking if there's a hose broke or something. Yeah, that's probably good.
Probably a gallon or so.
Yeah. Well, we'll let that sit for a little bit because we also got a flexible hose that we're going to try to fix the bottom rad hose with. So we took the rad hose off. There is in fact a hole in it, as we could see. That line? Oh, good. Victor's pointed out one of the lines are rebuildable, so that's easy enough to do. So Victor's going to try to get under there and work with a flexible rad hose line. So here's what we have to work with. Here's what it has to be turned into. So it's kind of hard to bend these at those 90 degrees. But Victor said he's going to give it a shot and try. If not, then we'll have to try to build something like this. But anyways, let's see if this one works first.
Hot water burn, baby.
So Victor is trying to go in through the belly pan to reach up rather than try to reach past everything in the engine, which seems like a swell idea to me. Oh, I know, I'm super excited for that too. Fighting the belly pans on the last crawler we got. Yes, we do have battery tools, but Victor just likes to get right in there sometimes. All personal like.
Batteries are all dead.
Oh. tried to talk them up, but yeah, the batteries are all dead.
On the plus side, I don't see any fresh oil drips.
Not yet. That's fantastic. You did have to tighten just about every other freaking line we've come to.
There's the issue.
Anyways, he's going to take out those back bolts, and then we'll drop the pan. Well, one of these nuts is being difficult, so Victor has fashioned I guess we could call it a Johnson bar. Anyways, yeah, so he's loosening a couple back there, and we should be able to drop the belly pan. Well, the backside dropped down here. Now he's working on the front. I suggested we put a strap around it, but he's opted to try to catch it with his head.
Yeah, be careful saying that on the internet. Somebody will take it seriously.
I hope they know we're joking. There's no pressure on that bolt, is there?
For some reason, there seems to be.
That's weird.
I feel like it'll be easier going back up when there's 75 tons of mud out of it.
Well, I also think that perhaps we should put a strap on it to go back up like we did the last one.
No, this time we'll just use the crawler frame.
Oh yeah, fair enough. That's a good idea.
It's like rain.
Ooh, yeah, there's a little bit of dirt up in there. Just a little tickle. Well, it doesn't have to get that cleaned out anyway.
Not gonna make it any worse.
Well, that's for sure.
It's like rain.
Victor moonlights as a singer.
That's why I still have my day job.
You just haven't caught on yet. I mean, this looks bad, but it's relatively safe. There's just going to be a bit of a jump scare here soon. There it is.
Yeah, I wonder why that was heavy.
Look at that, eh? How much do you suppose of that is from the 70s? That is nasty.
70 years of oil leaks. I wonder why they couldn't tell that it was leaking antifreeze.
It's weird. Well, on the plus side, we don't see any other leaks. Nothing dripping from the tranny area anyways. Of course, if there's a belly pan like this catching it, then... Well, anyways, point is the whole pail hasn't leaked out yet, so that's something. Once we get the rad hose on, if we can get the rad hose on, we'll see if we can make it move. I mean, we can try to move it anyways, but it'd be nice to have a rad hose. We'll go from there. Well, we were able to get it skidded out and propped up and get most of the crap out of it. That made it a lot lighter anyway. And Victor found a free bolt. He's assuming, probably right from the assembly line, seeing as it was right on the bottom of all of that. Maybe not, but you never know. And if we look down in here, you can see some variation of a bog beast down in there.
Thanks, buddy.
But now he has to try to see if he can work this line on. That is going to be fun. It can only go well. So I'm trying to help Victor, but it's also very difficult to run the camera at the same time.
Oh, we're getting somewhere.
Keep shoving. Hanging on. Well, unfortunately it was too tight in there to make that flex hose work. We just can't get a good grip on it to get it turned, so we're gonna have to come up with a different idea. But anyways, we can worry about that later. For now, we haven't seen any more drips from the transmission, and it wasn't empty, so it is holding fluid, so that's a good sign. It must have just been drained down to where they had to take one of those lines off. So we're gonna fill it up and we'll see if the machine fires up again and see if it moves. All right, turn the battery on. And safety off, or on. And,
You know, that was a random, you're out of battery.
this battery may be struggling. Yeah, looks like we may have to boost it. Okay, let's boost it. Okay, we got the old Chev hooked onto her here. Now we're gonna see if it wants to roll. Is that throttle? You wanna get ready to pull that back down if it takes off here. We may have to give her a shot, but ready?
Yep.
Alright, in the interest of saving some battery power, just gonna give it a shot of ether and let it take off. Also, we didn't take our exhaust cover off, which is a tooth from my big excavator. But it's what we had on hand and it worked. So anyway, we'll give it a shot and it should take off, then we'll see if it moves. All right, got an old can of ether I found in a truck I bought, but still potent enough to work. I'm gonna be running that. Victor's gonna be running everything else now. Okay. Fired right up. All right, we'll let that warm up for a second, then we'll see if it moves. We're just adding a bit more fluid to it here because it sucked some in when it started. Meaning it's filling those lines that were empty. While he finishes that up, I'm going to move my truck, so just in case it wants to move and then for some reason doesn't want to stop, we don't want it crawling over top of that. All right, we got old Victor jumped up on there. He'll see if it goes back and forth so I can film. Hopefully try not to blow any lines. And moment of truth. Oh. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. All right. So that roller is struggling, which we knew that when we were getting it. Some of the undercarriage components will need a little bit of love, but nothing huge. That is fantastic. That is all the proof we were looking for, that it is worth putting some time and love into. Why?
That's why the one, did you notice the one track wasn't moving?
Yeah, I did.
The lines are backwards. You have to pull it.
Oh, okay. So somebody's been messing with those.
Well, they took those two lines off to get to them.
Oh, yeah. So they just put them on backwards. Well, No, we want to get the coolant in it first anyways. Yeah, but that's good. The steering clutches and everything seem to work, so yeah, we'll change those lines.
Can test the brake,
but... ah. So the problem Victor was talking about was the line he's working on and the one directly under it are switched. So instead of the tracks moving and then you pulling these to brake the track, he actually had to pull this so the track would let off and drive. But no big deal, switch those lines and should be good to go. And then do a little bit of undercarriage work, replace some lines, little few other things to it, and then we should be able to start actually using it and then see what else it needs. But it seems like the biggest components work. So he'll get those switched and should be good to go until we get some more parts. Okay, he just finished that up. So things we know it needs right off the start and from the minimal usage we've just driven it around with is it'll probably need some track adjuster seals like we did on the other crawler. There's a video about that, so we'll probably do those again. One of the rollers, that top roller on the other side, needs to be done as I showed you. Needs a stack put onto it, a cover for the air intake, and we'll have to figure out a bottom rad hose for that, and maybe something a little better for a seat. Other than that, we may weld some grousers onto this. Nothing huge because it's not a bulldozer. These crawlers are meant to have lower, less aggressive grousers on them so that it doesn't tear up, and it's supposed to be easier on them because they're supposed to be turning a lot more than a bulldozer is generally pushing straight. So we may just weld some sort of rebar on there or something. This is going to be mostly a property machine, or put it in the pit to load the truck or something like that, to a clean fill site, or maybe even clearing jobs, something like that, where it's not working too hard 100% of the time. And then if it does work well for us, we may start getting more into the undercarriage parts, like that rear drive cog there, and then we might even look into chains and stuff. But one thing at a time. We'll have to change some lines as well. That blue one is rebuildable, but both of those curl cylinder lines are going to have to be replaced. That cylinder needs to be rebuilt, so that's not a huge deal either. But other than that, yeah, I think there's a lot of potential here. So hopefully there'll be lots more videos to come of this machine. But thanks for watching.